All right, cool. So hopefully this is all working and stuff. But hello, guys. I'm Shane, if you don't know, but Shane Gabriella Plants, and here at home today, and wanted to just go over some of the stuff going on at Gabriella Plants, some of the new items, some of the old items, uh, just updates on a lot of different things. If that's all right with you guys. If I look down, that's because I have to read the comments down there. Other than that, I have quite a number of things I've tried to prepare for you guys. Different photos of different things coming down the line and stuff. So we'll just go ahead and jump into this, and then at the end, we'll try to do some Q&A as well. I'm normally pretty nervous for these things too. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started here. All right, so the first thing, and I also have notes on my screen as well. I should bring these to the middle so it doesn't look like I'm looking that far away. But all right, so a couple of the updates. Just wanted to start off with the shipping updates. If you guys have pending orders, this is revolving around pending orders. So I don't know if you guys were able to see. Some of you guys are new to the group, so for those of you guys who are new, welcome. But this past week we did break our record of how many plants we were able to ship in 1 week. That's been a big problem for us since the beginning, or really about April of last year or so. We were very quickly running to capacity in our old offices, or our old little, we call it the shack now. That's what it was always called when I grew up on the property and stuff. But we used to pack out of there. And then of course we built our new building to be able to facilitate not only more packing, but more storage, being able to buy boxes in larger quantities, things to try to cut costs wherever we can, which is kind of fun to be able to get to that point. If you guys are writing questions, I will come back and read them, just so you know. So you're welcome to write them. I'm just not going to look at them right now. But anyway, so last week we did break our shipping record. So we were actually able to ship out around 960 plants last week, which is quite an accomplishment. And that was still just using 2 full-time packing people, shipping people, and of course Bruce doing a lot of the management, assigning who was gonna ship what each day. And we made a couple changes around that, but we're gonna get to that at the very end of this, and why we were able to do 960 instead of 800 with the same 2 people. But so for the shipping update, just in case you have a pending order, 960 plants were shipped last week. We currently have around 1,200 or so plants pending right now. We really count plants more than we count orders or boxes. It's an easier count for us, and it tends to be more accurate as to what we can do and what we can't. So we're already at capacity for next week. So we're planning on shipping 1,000 plants in this coming week. I really want to break the 1K in a week record, which is really just absolutely incredible, considering the first 4 months of me doing the Etsy store by myself over a year ago was less than 600 plants. So to do 1,000 plants in a week is pretty cool. So we already at capacity for this upcoming week. That means any current placed orders will likely be shipping the week of the 20th. Now, a couple things to note on the week of the 20th. One, that Monday, the 20th, is actually a USPS postal holiday. So we can't ship on that day, although we will be for orders that are local or within the state of Florida, Georgia. We'll probably be packing some of those orders on Monday, the ones that don't need heat packs, to go in the earlier mail pickup on Tuesday. Then we'll be shipping Tuesday and Wednesday, and then that Thursday, Friday, I'll be taking those of the staff that are interested in going. I think it's going to be 7 of us total, I think, down to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, which is about 3.5 hours away for us, to the TPIE conference. For those of you who aren't familiar with TPIE, TPIE is the Tropical Plant International Expo. I think at one time it was called the Industry Expo. I could be wrong on that, but it's basically the trade show for growers and retailers, but a lot of the vendors and stuff are pot manufacturers and different things like that. So we're going to be going down there. I think I've kind of always gone throughout my life, like every third year, mainly because in the old wholesale business, we really didn't change what we grew a whole lot. But obviously that's changed now. So I do plan on going to more of those. In fact, I'm going to try to make it up to the Boston one as well. I think that one's a gardening show, but that's the only other really big plant industry thing. So anyhow, if you guys are down near that way or are going to be attending TPIE, let us know. You'll probably see me wearing this polo my wife got me, and the rest of the staff will probably be in Gabriella Plants merch as per usual. So anyhow, so that's kind of the shipping update. We're going to get through them as quickly as we can. We do ship in the order in which people place their order. And if you are adding an additional plant to an existing order, there's always a chance. I try to respond to the email with if this is going to happen, but if that does mean that we have to ship your plant later, we try to let you know that as well. So that was number one. Take a sip of a warm vanilla Coke because it was on my desk and it works. Cool. Some of you guys are in here. This is a lot of fun. I promise you, we're going to get to a lot more entertaining stuff than me talking, I promise. Another housekeeping thing before we go through, I really want to show off a lot of the new plants coming down the pipeline. So we're going to do that in just a second. But first, I did want to tell you that we have added 2 new people to our team in this past week. So my wife has actually left her her full-time job or gave her 2 weeks notice and will be coming on with us full-time. So that's really exciting. In fact, I have a photo of us and stuff like that. So yeah, she's going to be coming on the team. Really excited about that. She brings a lot of strong suits that aren't my strong suits. She's going to step in to help with some of the customer service emails, some of that stuff, as well as in her previous job, she did a lot of scheduling, a lot of people management, a lot of training, a lot of the HR experience that, frankly, I don't have that HR experience. So I'm excited about her joining the team. And we also have, I don't have a photo of him, unfortunately, but we do have a new intern as well, Hunter, who has joined us for this school semester. He's attending UCF for environmental studies, I want to say. So far, he's really enjoying it, and we really enjoy having him around. He's really taken to the greenhouse really quickly and is already starting to really contribute to the greenhouse. So welcome to both of them, both to Miriam and to Hunter, for joining the team. All right, so that is where's the photo, Bruce? The photo of Hunter that we didn't get because I wanted to have him in a Gabriella Plant shirt, but then I forgot about that. I don't know. Anyways, so next up, we'll go through these new plants that are going to be coming out. But before we do that, I did want to take this opportunity, just in case you haven't seen the video we did kind of recapping last year. I meant to play this at the start, mainly because it really does describe a lot of the shipping capacity issues, and it's really a big accomplishment for the whole team in what we're doing these days. So I'll go ahead and roll that, and then I'll be back with all these new plants, and we'll go over all that. It doesn't feel too long ago when I sat ready to publish our family greenhouse's website online. The idea? What's better than a plant straight from our greenhouse to your house? Well, that was a year ago. And well, we've grown a lot. We've grown over 36,000 plants, growing over 32 new species in the last year alone. Of course, we filled plenty of locally made pots and watered nearly daily at times during the summer. We've constructed thousands of boxes and stuck plenty of smile stickers. In fact, we've shipped over 24,000 plants, all while having an average of just 2% of orders with any type of issue. Our team has also grown from 3 to 11, 6 being full-time now. We've gotten to know plenty of amazing plant people, but maybe the biggest way we've grown in the last year has been our space. Most of the year, we packed all of our orders out of less than 400 square feet. Often, we'd hit our total number of plants we could manage to ship the following week within a single hour after an inventory update. This month, we've moved into our new offices, which will have plenty of room for office space, packing space, and space for future greenhouse production use. It's been an incredible journey, and while it's still a bit messy, but we're, well, in case you haven't been paying attention, we're always growing more. Happy birthday, Gabriella Plants. So yeah, that was really fun. And to clarify, Bruce's question was, where was this photo of Mira and I? That is as far as we could drive on the Blue Ridge Parkway when we went up there in early December, late November. I don't exactly recall, but we were able to sneak away. Bruce did a good job of leading the team in my absence, so that was a lot of fun. We always typically go to Asheville's where we honeymooned when we got married just 2 years ago, 2.5. I should know that answer. It'd be 2 years. We have not celebrated our 3rd anniversary. Okay. Anyways, when we went, we normally go up there in at our anniversary, which is the end of September, and we've only seen snow a handful of times as Floridians, so we wanted to go up there when it was a little bit colder, and we found snow. So that's that photo. All right, let's go through some of these new plants. I have prepared this slideshow. Ooh, okay. So let me get my notes out. So let's go through these in order. So the first plant here, which I know we've gotten a lot of questions on, this is the Calathea crimson P. That's what the official name is, crimson, then just the letter P. I'm assuming it means pink. I think that's a safe assumption, but that one is growing and hopefully will be ready here in a matter of a couple weeks, hopefully. They're growing pretty quick, but just like all the other plants that we sell, I do try to make sure that not only is it rooting through the soil medium, but also it's really important to me that they're also producing healthy new growth as well. So we're kind of waiting on that. A couple of them are starting to produce their first new leaves since we planted them as babies. But we'll let them get a little bit bigger, fill out a little bit more, and make sure that they're fully rooted before we list them on the website. Over the coming days, hopefully on Monday, I will get most of these that we're going to go through in this slideshow onto the website. So if you want to use the back in stock feature, which if you're unfamiliar with it, any sold out on an item on the website, you can go to that page and put in your email address and you will get notified when we restock them. One helpful note that I did want to talk about, which we will at the end, when it comes to ghost updates, that system of notifications is set up to send out if we're restocking more than 10. So one of the things we started doing in 2020 is doing ghost updates where we're only putting 5 or less typically. So literally a handful of plants of a specific species on the website. Those will not send the notifications out because sometimes we'll be notifying several hundred people about listing 5 plants on the website. And the point of the ghost update, not only to give people kind of more of a random chance at getting some of these hidden gems, but it also lets us, we always sell about 80 to 85% of what we have of a certain batch of a plant. And we hang on to a certain amount to make sure that if there are issues with packages getting lost, stolen, damaged, that we have the plants to be able to replace them if possible. So sometimes we just have a handful of plants left over, and that's when we'll do the ghost updates. But as we go through this list, just know that we will be adding these to the growing section of the website as soon as I can get to it. But let's go back through these. So this is the Calathea Crimson P. Hopefully I helped a little bit of the ASMR microphone problems. Next one, we do have a new batch of Alocasia Tiny Dancers planted. Really excited about that. It's a pretty limited batch. I think we were only able to get our hands on around 70 of them. and they'll probably take, alocasias typically are a little bit more aggressive when it comes to rooting, so I would expect us to have these ready probably within a month from now, a little bit sooner than some of the other calathea and things on this list. Next up, this is a newer peperomia to us. This is Peperomia San Marino. Really nice peperomia. These are really full to the pot already. Like from a visual standpoint, they're ready to be shipped. They're just still only rooting through about halfway down their pot. So we're just waiting on them to get a little bit more confidently rooted before we decide to list these. But I would say these are probably in the next week to 2 weeks. Very close. And along with the Peperomia San Marino, we also have this one, the Peperomia Rosso, Rosso. I probably am saying that wrong, but we'll go with it. Peperomia Rosso, very similar characteristics, just a little bit more green and lacks a little bit of that silver color. Next up, this is commonly called the Calathea setosa, or Setosa. Should have put all the names in the slides, but I didn't have enough time for that. But it's actually a member of it's a relative to the Calathea family, and I still have not perfected how to pronounce this, so we'll go ahead and put it on screen real quick. There. That. Not that it's a question, but that is the name of the Setosa Calathea. I wish I could pronounce that correctly, but that's that. The next one, super excited for that one, by the way. We have quite a bit of those, and they're a taller Calathea. We'll just call them a Calathea for the sake of this conversation, even though that's not scientifically correct. But they are a taller Calathea, and they're quite unique, very very cool. Very cool plant. We've had some in 6-inch in the past, but we've never grown them ourselves, so this is our first batch of those. We also have some of these Calathea musicas as well. These, we started out with about 12 plants, and we intentionally didn't ship any of them, just so that we could split them up and continue to make more. So probably when this batch is finally ready and rooted, we'll have at least a limited release of these. Next, I know a lot of you guys are super excited about this one. This is the Scindapsus trubili Moonlight. Very interesting plant from a growing perspective. I did not anticipate, all Scindapsus, two things. All Scindapsus, one, prefer cooler climates. Not cold, but they do prefer it on the cooler side. Specifically, the trubilis, they really like it on the cool side. That's kind of where it's native over in Asia. So it does make sense that they're a little bit easier for us to grow. And in fact, I tried to root some in over summer, when typically for most plants is primo planting time, because you're going to get quicker rooting. You're going to, it's just a faster process. Did not have good luck with the Moonlight, so we hung on to the stock plants. We have, I think, about a dozen totems of it, and we waited to plant those until, I don't know, about 6 weeks ago or so. So these are making progress. Now, what's interesting about these, and sometimes you'll see it in other varieties of Scindapsus as well, is they're actually putting out a ton of new growth, even though they are not rooted hardly at all. They're just thriving off the moisture in both the pots, and we are kind of misting these more often than we would other plants. So we're trying to keep the temperatures a little cooler on them. They are making progress, like I said, good new growth. They're just really slow to root, so I don't have a specific timeline on these, but we will have about a batch of around 100 when we do get ready to sell them. So I'm super excited about these Scindapsus Moonlight. Next, I think the last one on this list is the Calathea. They're calling this Calathea exotica. So it looks very similar, especially in their juvenile state. It does look very similar to the setosas, or however you're supposed to pronounce that. They do look very familiar, but they are a calathea. So they do have that kind of bright white, white and silver color, and against that green. They kind of remind me of a Freddy, but do have a flatter leaf, not quite as round of a leaf, a little bit more elongated than what a Freddy is. So this one's newer to the market altogether, so we're excited to have those. Same story with that Calathea Crimson P, same story, very new to the market. That's why you're not really seeing a lot of them out there right now. Yeah. So I do have a couple more things to go through. The next thing is a couple, just highlighting a few things that we did put on the website this weekend. So if we go back to our slideshow here, the next thing, these are already on the website, these zebra plants, really cool plant. They were not really in production for a while. In fact, we had about three dozen of them or so. And we're kind of playing around with them. And then there was a grower in Apopka that did bring them back and started producing these in 6-inch. So super excited to have gotten a few of them. They are pretty limited. We don't have a ton of them. So whatever is left on the website, I believe, is most of them. They do have a really cool, I don't know if you can see it in that photo, they do have a really cool yellow flower. I don't know if it's technically a flower, but a type of bloom on the top of the plant. Very cool. The other thing we did add to the website this weekend are these ginger bushes. Now they do have some amazing orange blooms on them, and they should, based on when they started to bloom, they should still have blooms for 6 to 8 weeks. The ginger bushes do kind of hold their blooms longer than usual and hold their blooms pretty well in transit during shipping. So excited to have these ginger plants as well. All right. We're getting through it, guys. We're getting through it. I try to make these long enough that there's a lot of good information in these streams, but also not so long you can't watch the whole thing. So before I move on to the last couple things I have to go over, any questions about any of those slides or any of those plants that are working in progress? That's obviously not everything we have growing. I just really wanted to highlight the newer stuff we have, the things that aren't yet on the website or haven't been really published in any way yet, because as the group is called, behind the scenes. So wanted to share it with you guys before you start seeing it on social media throughout the coming weeks. So somebody said, do the ginger flowers smell? Not very strongly. They're also just such a small bloom that I'm sure, if you got it all the way up your nose, I'm sure they do smell, but I didn't really, it wasn't pungent, if that makes sense. Is it an edible variety? I would assume not. The ginger family is pretty wide. Typically when you have plants like the ginger family, and a decent amount of other edible and foliage plants, the smells or the flavors or the goal from a cooking standpoint, the edible side of the plant is typically not is still there. It's still a ginger plant, but those varieties that have been kind of picked and either cloned via tissue culture or are being replicated at scale typically are not the ones that contain as pungent of a flavor. So I would imagine they still have some edible properties to them, just because they are still in the ginger family, but they're obviously not bred to be the ginger that you would use. So hopefully that makes sense. Any other questions? Yes to the moonlight. Super excited about those. And we do have, I need to plant them this week, but we will have a second batch of around 60 to 100 that will be planted this upcoming week. So those should be about 6 weeks behind that first batch. So very cool. All right, a couple more housekeeping things, and then I'll let you guys go and answer any other general questions you guys have. Emily, we knew you were going to munch on it. We knew you were going to munch on it. You don't, you know. But no, that it's a good point though, and like I said, that's typically a lot of edible plants if they are being used for their foliage. They're typically different breeds or different cultivars within that family. The same even goes for not to go there, but to go there. The same thing applies for cannabis too. The people who are growing industrial hemp are growing, not only is hemp not the same as a blooming, cannabis plant, but you also have a specific strain or a specific cultivar that's meant to be thicker stems, better for the hemp industry. So just like that, and like a lot of other plants, you do have kind of different species like that. Ask for the music. That's the question there. When are the repeat the size? They're in 4-inch pots. They're kind of tall, and I hope them to be ready in about 6 weeks. And any Birkins? Yeah, we're going to be growing a ton of Birkins this year. We have roughly 900 per month, I think, coming in starting at the end of this month. We were supposed to get them on the 6th, and then they pushed them back to the 27th. So we'll be getting those soon, and we will be selling some of them as babies and growing some of them out to full size. Status on the Calathea Fusion Whites. That's not one we grow. That's patented, and as far as I'm aware, there's only one company able to grow them in the United States that I know of. So we will continue to have them in restocks throughout the spring, but we're not growing that one specifically. But I'll check in on that, make sure that if they are available, we grab some. Do we keep the Moonlight at the same temperature as the other ones? I mean, in an ideal world, I'd probably have them a little bit more isolated than they currently are. Right now, they're in the Philly house, which is where we're keeping most of the things we're trying to propagate over winter. That stays up to 62 at night if it is cold. We heat all the way up to 62. That's also where your Pink Princess are living. And in this now, even this week, I was at the greenhouses today. If you saw the post in the behind the scenes, it was upper 80s inside the greenhouse today. So we do have a lot of fans. A lot of it's also just airflow. It's not as much temperature as it is trying to keep the air moving on them, I've figured out. So yeah, but no specific temperature. We don't really have a way of cooling things off in Florida. That's not really one of our specialties. Last question, then we'll move on to these last couple updates. Do we host clubs or school tours and visits? You can always contact me via email about that. I am in talks with one person. I think I need to call back tomorrow, who has kind of a special disabilities group that wants to come through and either contribute in some way or tour the facility and stuff. So we'll try to do that. And I do have a couple announcements on the local events here at the end. So let's go ahead and go back into the last couple things so we can all get out of here and enjoy the rest of our Sunday. So yeah, the ginger bush there. So Pink Princess update for those of you who are patiently waiting. We have around 66 plants total left to ship, about 44 people who are on the main wait list that completed the process in the correct amount of time. But because of when they joined the initial wait list back in July, their number was just lower, or higher. So we did ship out all but those last 44. I don't see why we wouldn't get the rest of those out by the end of this month. Tentatively, they're scheduled for Tuesday the 21st. And of course, we'll let people know. And then the 44 are left on the main wait list. And then we have 22 people who completed the process late, but by that deadline. So in total, we have 66 plants left to ship. The photo you're looking at, though, there's roughly 600 or so, 540 on these 2 benches alone, and I did plant another batch of around 160 this past week, so we will continue to produce these. The ones on the right side of this photo are the next closest ones, the one with tags there. They've been rooting in since the beginning of November, so obviously in the winter things slow down, can't produce quite as many per month, but we are still growing them, and we do anticipate on having more for sale in a public release sometime either before the end of the month, likely the week of the 27th, if that inventory updates the Wednesday. Give me your feedback though, maybe in the comment section later or whatever. I've been kind of wrestling back and forth in my head of when we go to do the Pink Princess release specifically. It's going to be a madhouse because I think there's 3,000 people who have signed up to be notified when we restock them, and we're going to have somewhere around a batch of 100 to 150 available. So I may try to do that on a day that's not an existing inventory update, which I know would throw some people off if you like already take time off from work and your kids know Wednesday not to bother you at 8 p.m. Eastern. But I also don't want it. It's going to be a lot of customer service and a lot of things to execute when it comes to a launch that big and notifying that many people. So we may choose to do that on a special day outside of the inventory update, or maybe even just separate it by a couple hours or something like that. But curious to hear your thoughts. But we should have some more for sale for people who are not on the wait list. If you don't have a number, if you don't know what that is, we'll have more available before the end of the month, hopefully, if not the very first week of February. I just want to make sure I have that 100 or 150 ready, because I certainly don't want to announce to everybody that we're going to have some and then have 40. So I'm going to try to do as many as I can. Another thing, since we're on the topic of rarer plants or plants that were severely limited in producing, if you notice this past inventory update when it came to the silver swords in the product descriptions, and we are going to send an extra email reminder in the coming days, but we did make those basically like a 2 to 3 week, I think it says 2 to 4, but 2 to 3 week shipping window, because even though all the plants were planted at the same time, we do have some that are 100% ready to ship this week and some that are going to be ready to ship 2 weeks from now. And I want to reduce the number of people who do get the sold out message. So we went ahead and just sold all of those plants, and we'll ship them as they become available. We're not going to do the Pink Princess wait list or a long pre-order list again. Never in my mind to go past a month. But if it does make sense to just update the silver swords once a month on the website containing the plants that we're going to be able to ship in that month, that's probably what we're going to do. So the Pink Princess will probably be the same story, where when we release 150, 75 of them will ship the following week and 75 will ship 2 weeks later, something like that. But again, just trying to reduce the madhouse, trying to get 75 and make that 150 instead. So let me know if you have any thoughts on that. Okay, last couple things. That's the Pink Princess update. We're getting there. Super excited to be there. And I do have some special like 5-inch with multiple cuttings, some hanging baskets even, that we're going to be doing some special stuff with on eBay here shortly. All right, that's the end of that slideshow, I guess. Go back to here. Okay, cool. So last couple things moving forward, and then we'll just do Q&As for like 20 minutes. These typically last about an hour, and I try to squeeze the content on the front end and then just do questions at the end. 2 more things moving forward. So going back to the shipping thing, which I actually had a cool picture of, shipping was able to accomplish so much partly because of the fact that we are really putting a lot more trust and a lot more responsibility on the people who work in the greenhouse to maintain, select. Of course, Bruce is still the main one auditing and making sure that those plants do meet our standards, but we're really trying to pass a lot of those responsibilities down to our assistant growers, all the way up to the fact that on the day of shipment for a specific order, specific plants, that morning, the greenhouse staff actually selects all those plants from the already selected area and moves them to the shipping building for the shipping people to be able to ship. So that's been a little bit of a change. And one of the cool things we're going to roll into that, and the reason I bring it up, is we do have intentions of moving to plant tagging, like with a nursery stake, every plant as it goes out, and having shipping people attach that to the hard foam roll, or in some senses, in some plants, leaving it in the plant itself, just so that you guys, one, know the species later, and two, that nursery tag will be able to tell you who actually picked out your plant from the greenhouse staff, which is something that we have. It's always been on my mind. I really like the packed by cards, where the person who selected the plant and the person who shipped your plant sign those cards. I think it's just, in my mind, it's just not only a personal touch, but it really shows that somebody took the time to sign those. And I always wanted to find a way to do that with greenhouse people too. So when it comes down to if we needed 50 prints of orange, when those are pulled, they're tagged, and then likely the greenhouse employee that picked them out will hole punch like the top of the nursery stake on a little box that will indicate who picked it out. So I think that's going to be a really cool thing to not only see who was responsible for your order on the shipping side, but also who was involved in each different plant as we selected those and shipped those out. So plant ID stakes are coming. Two more quick things. eBay auctions, we're trying to do those more often, especially highlighting plants that are kind of limited batch. Like we have I think 8 left of the silver sword totems in 6-inch. So we only made 8 of them. So I would feel kind of weird putting those on the website. But we are going to do those on eBay. And like I mentioned, some hanging baskets of the Pink Princess in 5-inch. A couple other plants we're going to be continually updating on the eBay site. So if you're interested in that, the link is available on the website. If you go to the top menu on the left-hand side and go down to auctions, it will take you to our official eBay page. Last announcement, for those of you who are local, of course, we didn't have our second Saturday this weekend, but in case you didn't see it, we do have an upcoming pop-up shop Monday the 27th from 4 to 7 p.m. I'm really excited about kind of not getting away from the Saturday events, but doing more events overall. So not only do we have the intentions of doing more regular events and more limited time frame events, because the marathon Saturday was a lot to have staff there all day, to have me there all day on top of the entire shipping week and everything else, and then only have Sunday off. And then some of us would even be there on Sunday to reset the plants back to the greenhouse and stuff. So I think it's going to work really nicely to have kind of a more intimate setting, a smaller area, and to do that more often. The other thing we're going to be doing is a lot more events in the Central Florida area. So I know the only one that's on the website right now is the Seminole County Gardening Expo or Gardening Show. I've been to that one once in a couple years ago. Haven't been in a while, but we're going to be there vending plants. We're also going to be at Taste of Oviedo later this spring. We're going to be at the Osceola County Plant Show. We're actually going to be a sponsor for that event. We're in some talks to share space with another company at the Winter Gardens Farmers Market every now and then. So I can't confirm all of those dates yet, but we will add them to the locals page on the website as we do them. And I think that'll not only reduce some of the stress of having so many events or bigger events at the greenhouses, but also lets us be closer to the folks in Kissimmee. Some people would drive over an hour, some people over 4 hours to come see us at the greenhouses. So hopefully we can get a little bit closer to you and do some more events throughout the community. That's the goal there. So we will have additional Saturday sales throughout the year. They'll probably just be on very specific weekends. So for example, Mother's Day weekend, we're most certainly going to be open that weekend, probably even Saturday and Sunday. and we'll have select other weekends. We still do weekend events, but the goal is to do more events, do them smaller and more often. So with that, any questions? I will now pick up my phone so I can read these real quick, and we'll just spend like 10 minutes going through some questions. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, listening. Always fun to get to do these. And I like that even if you're unable to watch the whole thing live, you can watch it back later, and it does contain more information than is always something I can write up in an email or something I can communicate via social media. So that's why the behind the scenes group is great. And yeah, let me read through some questions here. Emily says that it's a good idea not to try to crash the site while the inventory update's going on. Yeah, so we'll probably ask the behind the scenes folks what day they'd prefer, but we'll let you guys know when we get closer to that. Aglanema Emerald Beauty be available again? I need to look into that. Most likely. I think we still have a few, but let me I'll try to get back with that. Sometimes I'll try to go back and comment on comments after the fact or tomorrow when I can try to get a better answer to something specific. Tagging everything, don't staple it to the pot. Honestly, with the pots that we use, I don't think I could get a staple through the pots we use. We support a local company out of Longwood, which is about 15 minutes from us, and they produce all of our 4-inch and 6-inch pots that we use at the nursery, and they're very thick, and I don't think I could get a stapler through it. But yes, we won't. No nursery tag stapled to pots. And for the same reason, I don't want to make the tag a sticker on the pot either, because I know some people step up their plants, or in general, if stickers get wet, they can be a little bit harder. So these are going to be thermal. If you've been to Second Saturday before, the thermal nursery stakes, we're just going to get a larger printer so we can print an actual full-sized one, because we had a cheapy printer that can print like the 3-inch tall ones or 4-inch tall ones. So we'll have a little bit nicer of a look to them. Gotta go grab dinner. Yeah, I need to figure out dinner as well. So good on you, Emily. Thanks for being here. Gabby ETA. Gabby is a thing. So for those of you who don't know, Gabby is an original sport to us. It has developed in our greenhouses over, the Gabby philodendron has been around since I can remember things. So at least since elementary school, 2 decades probably. They're extremely hard to root. They take roughly 3 times longer than any other philodendron in that same family. So compared to the Rio, compared to the green cordatum, or what's properly Heraceium, but any of the heart-shaped phillies, the Gabbies are much, much slower. That combined with the fact that we only have total 44-inch, 44-inch and 36-inch, something like that. So under 100 plants total. I don't know that we'll ever be able to produce enough Gabby to meet demand or to really justify putting them on the website. So at least at this moment, we're going to be trying to grow as many as we can. You can trust me in that. But at this moment, I'm pretty sure Gabby are going to stay eBay. There'll just be more of them, and eventually we'll roll out doing some of the 4-inch Gabby on eBay as well. So, but I don't know that we'll ever be able to produce enough Gabby. So Gabby's a tricky one, and to be frank with you, I don't know. Haven't made my mind up that is what we're going to do, where it's going to be eBay only, but I'm struggling to justify relisting them on the website and causing that stir when in reality we're going to have less than 10-20 plants we want to part with any given month. So that'll be hard. Glacier Pothos, we're probably not going to grow that one. I don't know of anybody growing Glacier anymore. Mandula, when is Mandula next going to be available? Mandula, probably 2 weeks or so. I That's another plant we can't produce a whole lot of, but we should have about 2 dozen here in about 2 weeks or so. Those are fully rooted and look really good right now. So those will be coming. Couple last questions here. Every time I want to be notified for an availability, I have to put the email in every single time. Yes, that is how it works. Maybe in the future we can find out how to get around that, but the point is that it notifies everybody that it's going to be restocked. So if it sells out again, it will reset that list each and every time, which is another reason why we're hesitant to do the Gabby restock. We're hesitant to do the Pink Princess restock because we know 1,000 people, or in the case of Pink Princess, closer to 3,500 people are going to get notified all at once. And then they're not necessarily going to be re-enrolled. So we try to say that in some of the emails from time to time, but that is how the system currently works. Otherwise, the only other ways to do that, the only other option we have with that plugin is the ability to send out like 50 per hour, for example. So if there's 400 people that want to be notified when Justinia restock, we could notify 50 in hour 1, 50 in hour 2. The only problem with that is, one, we're releasing the inventory update graphic, so people are going to be aware of the update, regardless of if the email goes out, if they're paying attention to social media. And 2, you would probably never notify the second 50 group. So then there would be the people saying, why didn't I get notified? So we've been leaving it as a default to send out to everybody. We try to send those notices out an hour or half an hour before the drop so that it doesn't have that delay and you get them after it's been updated. But you do have to re-sign up for those every time that the item gets restocked. That is how it unfortunately works right now. So maybe we'll find another solution to that down the road, but for now, that's what we got. Status on the purple shamrocks. We have a lot of them growing, a lot of them. Let me see if I can, don't go anywhere, guys. I'm just going to put you guys back on this slideshow for half a second. I have a photo of that I want to share with you guys. Okay, well, it's just in the corner of this photo, but we'll go ahead and do it. Add to the slideshow. This, and then here. All right, so now I gotta slide through these. If all this looks new to you, go back and watch the video later. All right, so there you go. That's just one small section there. So that's another 70 or so right there. Those will be the next ones that are ready. And those will be ready most likely this Wednesday or the following Wednesday. So 1 to 2 weeks on that. Hindu rope. We will have the green Hindu rope in February. I'm not sure on when we'll ever get the variegated, but we do have one of the family-owned greenhouses we're really close with is growing the green kind for us. And we have some set aside for us for February. So, as well as Hoya Carry green for February and Valentine's Day as well. And that's also when we're going to try to time our next batch of around 60 of the variegated Hoya Carry reverse as well. We're going to try to time that around Valentine's Day. That's the date. You tried to order a shamrock and it was sold out really quickly. The shamrock, probably the last time or when you were trying to do that, we only had like less than 2 dozen for sure. So moving forward, we have at least 3 batches of over 70 planted. So hopefully there'll be a little bit better shot at getting those. We also have a black one that's going to be coming out really soon too. Those are really close as well. Asking how to get the shamrocks to grow from bulbs. We always grow them from tissue culture. So we get them in with leaves already present, so I honestly don't have any experience growing them from bulbs. I do know that the oxalis specifically, just given how thin the plant is, does not like to dry out. So there are plants where using a higher, I call it a breathable soil, but a higher perlite, more airflow, more water area in the soil, a lighter soil mix is preferred for a lot of philodendrons, for a lot of different plants across a lot of different species. But for oxalis specifically, they really like the moisture. So certainly keep them moist as much as you can. Julie, we did go over the Gabby stuff, the intention. We haven't made up our minds, but there are severe limits to how many Gabbies we can grow. And at this time, we're going to stick to selling 1 or 2 per week on eBay until we can either produce enough or we find another alternative. So that's that. All right. Well, with that, I'll let one more round of questions come through real quick, and then we'll wrap up. Thank you guys for listening and for supporting us. It's really exciting. Not only do we have Miriam, my wife, and Hunter that joined the team this past week, I fully intend to have an additional 2 people working in shipping here within a month from now. So we're already figuring out how to order those desks and going to start that hiring process when we get back from TPIE, because we want to be able to get plenty of plants out. So we're really excited to be going into 2020 knowing a little bit better what we're doing, and having a little bit better skill sets under our belt and better systems to hopefully reduce mistakes as well, even though they're fairly rare right now. But things like plant tags, that's all going to help not only make the customer experience better, but also just help us maximize the efficiency of the process that we do at the greenhouse every day. Yeah, those Imperial Reds are giant, Becky. That low-key probably my favorite hybrid. ZZ Raven, the fishbone cactuses, we will have additional ones, probably not until early summer. I think we corrected the issue on the ones that we had left to ship, but they're still not as happy as they looked several months ago. We were able to get the best ones and get those shipped out, and by all means, they're a healthy plant. I just think that it's a bit too cold for them right now in Florida, so we'll probably wait to propagate additional ones until later this spring on those. ZZ Ravens, we won't get into. I made that decision before I even launched Gabriella Plants, really. Costa, who's a huge grower of plants, they supply every Home Depot and all that. They've been working on, and I believe ZZs were even in some senses, at least from a TC standpoint, original to them. So their ZZs are more commonly found at those big box stores, and they take a very long time to grow, and it's not something that we intend on stocking at this point or growing ourselves. So but you will see a lot of ZZ Ravens or Raven ZZs all spring long. There shouldn't be a major shortfall of them based on how many I saw growing down in South Florida at Costa. So yeah. All right. Well, we'll wrap it up there. If you have any additional questions, you can ask it below, and I'll try to stay up with comments throughout the evening. I am going to go try to figure out dinner, just like Emily, who left us a little while ago. Yeah, I think that's about it. So thank you guys for joining. And if you have any questions, email's always best. If you have any issues with your order, email is always best, and we try to respond as quickly as we can. And I'm going to try to get through the couple emails I do know I need to get back with later this evening or first thing tomorrow. So hopefully we'll get to talk to you guys soon. Yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. And on behalf of the whole Gabriella team, we're really, really thankful for the fact that we get to do what we do every day. And we couldn't do it without people like you placing orders, and we're really excited to be in this with you guys. So have a good night, take care, and we'll see you soon.